the suppression of the use of marijuana and of the forces lurking behind it are the most important jobs this department is now engaged in. In 1930, the records on marijuana in the Washington office of the Narcotics Division scarcely filled a small folder like this. Today, they fill cabinets.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Coloradians and everyone that's smart enough to listen from the outside.
One of the most amazing plants we've ever discovered.
The pot party, the trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Stone d'Appetit with your host, as always, it's me, Kip, and part 2 of Nurture Week means Chris is still in jury duty. Suck it, CB! But we're excited to talk about the extra level of the Visit Nurture, I guess, group, or what we like to call the Granola Castle. So,
Palace.
The Granola Palace.
The Granola Palace.
The Granola Palace.
I fought so hard my entire life to not be granola, and here I am.
I mean, this place is as granola as it sounds.
I think it's elevated, sophisticated, with a splash of, or a touch of granola.
Yeah. Well, when we had Peter and Kelly, and one of those voices you heard was Kelly Campbell. She's joining me. She's my co-host today. She's helping me out. But that other voice you don't recognize is Chef Elizabeth Woodard. She's the culinary director here at Nurture and runs what we've teased, I guess, in episode 1, which is the Nest Cafe. Mm-hmm. And we're here to talk about all things granola life, but also, I mean, there's a really great food program that y'all have here, whether it be fresh ingredients, fully stocked bar, and dank breads and muffins that I teed off on for breakfast last time I was here. But we have a new menu out as well. So we're going to dive into it. We're going to talk about inspiration. We're going to talk about those crunchy vibes and the people that you serve, as well as we're going to kind of just get your feel of how you got into the business. But before we get into all the nitty-gritty, I got to give a quick shout-out to our friends and sponsors of the podcast, the Cali's Cannabis Group. They've recently opened 2 new locations in the downtown Denver area at 8th and Kenosha Court for the blue-collar industry people, as well as on 31st and Larimer in Rhino, right next door to Rye Society. Go check them out on their website, caliscannabis.com. They have deals of the day every day. Today, as we're recording, or as you're listening to this, it's Thursday, so it's vape day. 10 or 15% off all vape purchases, so swing on through or check them out online at caliscannabis.com, and you can check out their Instagram page at Shop Callies, ShopCallies. Shop Callies. All right, back to the party. We asked all of our guests the same question, just kind of break the ice and get the ball going. Kelly, we do appreciate you joining us again, but since you've answered some of these questions, we won't make you do it twice.
Okay.
But, Chef.
Make her do it twice.
Yeah, right? Where are you from?
Well, today I'm from.
Today.
We know that she's a Denver baby, so almost. She did put us on some pretty sweet spots last episode, so you do have some big shoes to fill.
That's great.
Do you go by Elizabeth?
Woodard?
Chef
Woodard. I introduce myself as Elizabeth. If you know me through other friends, I'm Beth. I prefer Ellie or Elizabeth, but most people know me as
You just gave me like 4
Beth.
fucking names.
And you know what's really exciting
I
is
call
that
her Beth Baby.
Yeah, there you go.
Well,
That's probably the
Baby.
best.
Beth Baby, it is. Well, Beth Baby, are you from here in Colorado? Or are you transplant or a native?
I'm from New York.
Oh, shit.
Uh-huh.
What brought you west?
Well, I went to Los Angeles, and I was living in LA for about 8 years, and then I came back. I came to Denver to get a degree in nutritional science because I'm certified as a holistic health practitioner, and I just noticed with other people and with myself, health kind of exploded and all of these fads came out and people were just trying to follow different fads, whether it be like vegan or keto or HIIT workouts or intermittent fasting and things like that. And nobody was really understanding the science behind it. And through my personal journey, like I said, and other people around me, people's bodies were breaking down or people were just not at their optimal health. And so I decided to land all of that in science. So I came here to start at Johnson & Wales because they start you in culinary, and then you can break off into nutritional science. And along the way, I met Nikki Doherty.
Third partner.
Yep,
Yes.
third party.
We haven't met her.
Yeah.
I told them that they were scared to bring her in because of the hard-hitting questions.
Yeah.
But it sounds like she's like an Army Ranger. She's not
She
scared of me.
is a captain. Like this woman, when she and I met, it was like it was just like electricity, and that's who she is too. Like you're around her, and she's just like this light of electricity and just energy. And I was like, we were both like, oh my god! And so I was on.
Well, damn, now I feel like I'm missing out by not knowing Nikki.
You are.
But if you're listening, shout out Nikki. We appreciate everything. So, Johnson and Wales, met Nikki.
Yep.
But was it always a dream to be like in the culinary world, like growing up in New York and going to L.A.? What kind of, how did that come?
Let me tell you something. If you would have told me at the age of 20, at my 26-year-old self, that I'd be in a kitchen cooking, I would have laughed my ass off. I was trained and working as an actor for 10 years in New York City.
What kind of acting?
Mostly theater. I did some small films. I did a bunch of national commercials.
Anything I may have seen?
Probably not, unless you saw the national commercials when they aired back in the early 2000s.
I mean, everybody had cable back in the early 2000s.
I know. It was a Time Warner one. I did a couple Sony Ericssons with headphones. I land every audition. Listen, every audition that they were like, go and we're going to play a song, just go dance your ass off. And that's the audition. They would put on Usher all times, and I would just dance my ass off. And I got cast every single time. Because people are really like self-conscious, and I was like, oh yeah!
That's such and then I don't even know how that's a transition into
naturally I transitioned into nutritional science.
I went from acting and being in Sony Ericsson commercials.
Yeah.
Was it the headphones that wrapped around the back?
Yeah.
You're like, you can dance to Usher without losing the beat.
Exactly, and I got that down real fast.
And but you didn't have the itch or the want to be an actor forever? Actor, whatever?
I did. Oh, that's what I'm saying. Like, had you told my younger self that wouldn't have been my path, I would have, there's no way I would have believed you. It was kind of accidental. To be quite honest, when I was an actor, I decided to go off of refined sugar and refined flour with my boyfriend at the time for a month. And I lost so much weight and so fast, and I saw the difference in who I was, and I got a lot of appreciation for my new physical appearance, that I just kept it going, and then it kind of went way south, but that's another story. But I got really, really, really fascinated with the fact that I could literally design how I looked with what I put in my mouth. And so from there, I went into nutrition, and then that just opened up a whole world. And like again, like I said, that's another story. But what I realized that I wanted to do as an actor, that I still want to do, and is my main drive as a nutritional chef, if you will, is I just want people to feel so good in their bodies and so good about who they are. Like, just be in touch with, be present with who they are and how they feel about themselves. And I think that you have food is a great way to do that. The power of nutrients and food choices, whether that be, we talk about it all the time, whether that one day be a kale salad for you, or the next day be a glass of wine with a bunch of friends. Like, that is listening to your body, listening to yourself. It's just hard to do these days because we're saturated with so much chemicals and preservatives that interferes with the biochemical reactions within your body. So when people talk about intuitive eating or like eating what you feel, it's really hard to know that these days because there's so many interruptions, including the toxins in the air. And I could go on and on and on. And it sounds like really picky, but it's actually not. Just for, again, me seeing the difference in making small adjustments in my day-to-day habits, in what I put in my mouth. It will change how I think, feel, and then behave, and who I acquire in my life because of that, because you attract to how you behave.
No, I totally agree. And we had a guest join us not too terribly long ago, Wendy Lynn. She lives in France or Italy, and she mentioned that when she goes out to eat, she only goes to places that will offer either fresh-made sourdough, and they have to have natural wines on the list, because if those people take the pride in putting these wines on the list and making their own doughs, then by just the process of association, they're going to take that kind of care in everything else they do on their menus. So with this same mindset of, if you kind of realize in all of those aspects what you're putting into your body, then it kind of changes your whole outlook on everything. You know? So I agree wholeheartedly that that's a great way to look at it. I don't know what a fucking refined sugar or refined fat is. So now I'm very curious, as we joked with Peter the other day or the other episode about trying to shake the COVID-19. I'm pretty sure the refined sugar and fat game is exactly why I'm going to blame on my food. Is refined sugar and fats in Popeyes?
Most likely. And you can tell that because they don't have natural wines on their menu.
Yes, they should. Maybe
and now you know.
Yeah, maybe down in Louisiana, but out here the Popeyes doesn't have shit for wine selection.
Right, so now you know they're totally refined sugar and refined fat.
Fuck
That's a
those
great nut. Fuck them, Popeyes.
But, that's an easy transition because y'all have really, this food program that y'all have, curated here at Nest. It kind of goes off of this mentality and this mindset that y'all have all bought into at Nurture, I feel like we harped on it on Tuesday. It's about like whole body, which means having a slice of your body, being able to have a glass of wine with friends or cake before bed or something along those lines, because
it's good for your soul.
Thank you. And it's because you need to have that whole balance, which means not necessarily a cheat day, but a cheat meal. But you can also, eat well and take care of yourself all in the same time.
Yeah, I always shy away from using that term cheat.
Yeah, and I was trying to find another
I know,
way
I could
to
see
say
you
it.
searching.
I'm not very articulate.
Because, it's like, who are you cheating on? Like, if you when I worked privately with clients, they would be like, oh my God, I totally cheated. I had like this big burger. And I was like, listen, next time you sit down to that burger, you need to be like, this is the best meal I am having right now, and you need to get on board with it, because if you feel guilty afterwards, your brain will literally release chemical toxins, and it will tell your body that what you're eating is toxic, and then your body will behave like it is toxic, and then there's a whole chemical reaction that will go off on that. So you need to, if you decide to have a piece of pizza, you gotta be like,
I know all of this.
Yeah,
this is news to me.
no,
it's like a science class
your brain, because your brain and your gut are connected. I mean, and so you literally have to send off the radioactive waves to the gut, being like, what I'm eating is so good for me. Now, here's the thing. You have to really believe that. You can't just, now have a diet of pizza and fries and everything else and, sit down and believe that, because chances are your mind's not really going to believe that, and your body's not really going to feel that. But on those occasions that you choose to have a piece of pizza, or you're at a party and you have maybe one glass of wine too many than you usually do, it's going to hurt the next day. But you have to you're your best cheerleader. Get on your team.
I love that. That's just a great way to look at it. And you mentioned, your previous clients. How did we find ourselves, I guess, we always go on tangents, so it's never not going to happen. But, from meeting Nikki and doing the Johnson & Wales, did we have this, in-between period of where you were, just doing this one-offs, or was there always, when was this niche created for you? You mentioned the world was starting to shift. How did this... what's the time frame from acting Johnson & Wales, meeting Nikki, to where we are today? What was that process?
When I was in Los Angeles for 8 years, I was still working a bit as an actor, but that's when I decided to get certified as a holistic practitioner, because I wanted to.
What does that mean, by the way?
That means that I can help you. It's kind of like we were trained in over 100 different diets. We were trained in a bit in herbalism, a bit in chemistry, but it's more of with that background, being able to work with you and your lifestyle and get you to your goals. Because a lot of the times, you go to a doctor or you go to a nutritionist and they give you this protocol, but it might not fit with your schedule, so you're never going to do it, and then you don't get results. Whereas I work with you on a weekly basis. I take you through, I had a program, the first 4 sessions were teaching you about carbohydrates and proteins and fats and greens and how they work in your body, so that you can be empowered to make your own choices. I'm giving you the knowledge, you make your own choices, and then the rest of the sessions were dealing with how you're doing in how you feel about your career or relationships, because that all affects your state of health. I could give you kale salads up the wazoo, but if you're stressed out, it's not really going to do much.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Kale sucks.
You
have to do
my kale does not suck.
You have to do so much shit to it to make it taste good that I'm just out. And I love vegetables, fresh veggies, give them all to me. Kale is 100% at the fucking bottom.
Then you don't have to do it.
It has had such a glow up, and so I try it 98 different ways. I'm like, this just does not play. Like, give me the cauliflower. I love to see that go tier 1 from like being tier 7. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
But I just don't feel like kale is a justified vegetable to be so highly regarded.
Do you like spinach?
Yeah, I love
Well,
spinach.
then do spinach.
I do. I mean, I love spinach.
Do that. You do not have to make yourself eat kale. Do spinach.